Friends, family, and followers, we are back. It's We've Got Issues, and it is our regular get-together amongst a group of friends who've known each other for more than 40 years. We like to get together, bring to you topics that we've been talking about in our group chat. And today we have a great topic to start off the new year that you won't want to miss. But before we dive into it, let's introduce, for those who may not know who our esteemed panelists are, we've got Darren Gray. We've got Ella Neely.
Happy New Year.
And we've got Ron Evans.
Hey.
Hey, representing. That's right, brother. That's right. It's never too early to represent the Dodgers. So, and my name is Nick Cates. I'm here in LA. We've all, like I said, been friends. But today we have our own Ron Evans, who's going to take us into the topic that we will be discussing. So take it away, my man.
Thank you. So Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes.
New Year is always a time where people make New Year's resolutions. Going to the gym is always a popular one, and it's a time of reflection on where do you want to go. It's also a reflection, hopefully, on where have you come from. So we have a clip about the value of journaling, because in terms of putting things on paper, it helps understand a little bit more about where you went in your journey and where you hope to go on a daily basis. So, Nick, if you could just roll the clip, please.
Whatever comes to mind, it could make sense. It cannot make. Just write. Put your hand, pen, paper, and just write for a set number of minutes.
So not writing anything intentionally, just start writing some thoughts.
Yeah, whatever comes to mind. It could make sense. It cannot make sense. It could be just like random, but the whole process behind it is almost like cleaning out the cobwebs so that you're opening up space within yourself to tap into your creative potential.
Okay.
You don't use it, you lose it.
That's
concept, right? So if you think of the brain like a muscle, you have to continuously work on it to grow it, and then it can, you can tap into other things.
So, this idea of journaling resonated with me because in 2009, and I know Nick knows I'm into photography. In 2009, I started a photo a day for a year. It was called Project 365. And I've got the book here.
I love that.
And if you look at it, it is almost 2 inches thick, and it turned into a photo journal for 5 years. It was 2009, and I kept going through 2013. And it was a photo a day. Not every day was a vacation photo, but it journaled our kids' life, our life, things that we did, places we went. And it was really something that's turned into a keepsake for us. And it made me think about, what, I'm not going to do a photo a day, but the next 5 years is something where most of us will be thinking about retirement, thinking about where are we with our relationships, where are we with care of aging relatives. And it's something where it would be nice to document the journey. So my topic is, we didn't document, or at least I didn't document 2025. So I will ask you guys, what is one or two things from 2025 that you're happy about as you reflect? And what's one or two things that you have regrets about? And the only guardrails on this question is that it has to be something that you take agency over. So you can't talk about Trump's policies. You can't talk about Lincoln Riley. It's got to be something that you regret, or that you are happy that you did with someone or for someone, things like that. Fair enough.
You've taken away the two biggest regrets that I have of 2025.
I took
My
away.
year would have been fantastic.
Exactly. I regret not having FireLincolnRiley.com's domain registered to me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So why don't we do ladies first in the new year
Yeah.
and let Ella take that topic where you will.
So, first of all, I loved the 365-day project you did. I mean, I want to do that. I just thought it was a beautiful thing, um, and I just have to say, I have like a lot of parties and stuff and projects, and I never take pictures, and so just I want to do that. I'm gonna do that. Okay. But one of the things that I do is I journal. I do every day. I have an intentional, what am I trying to accomplish today? Every week I sit down and I write out my intentions for the week. At the end of the day, I go back and I look at them. And you guys are going to hate me for this, but I don't really have any regrets. I ran out of time and I couldn't get everything done, but I was very intentional about what I was trying to do. And I guess if I had a regret, it's some things carried over until this year that I wanted to do last year. But one of the things that I'm so very happy about is that you guys allowed me to join you in this podcast, because it was something that made me step out of my comfort zone. It's something that makes me stretch. It's having to formulate um, an argument and have facts to back it up. I love this, and I love to be a part of it, being a part of it. The second thing is, every week you guys make me think about some things that I have not done in my life. And I have a financial call with my cousin who basically, you know, is my advisor on stocks and my portfolio and stuff. And so I restarted that up. And so those are the two things that I'm really, really excited about. And I guess, again, my regret is that I had to carry some things over that I was intentional about that I didn't get done last year into this year. But I'm just excited, and we're going to get it done this year. So that's what I got for you guys.
Ella, do you have a philosophy about not having regrets? Is that why you don't look back and have any regrets, or you literally can't think of anything that you wish had gone better?
Not anything that I necessarily had agency over. I mean, there's a lot of things that happened that I didn't like, but it had to do with, a collaboration of other people. Mm-hmm. So when I just think about what I had agency over and the things that I was doing, I was checking in with myself on a weekly basis. And, I was trying to move it forward. Sometimes it didn't happen, but I don't know that I have a philosophy, but I'm just always, I'm not like, I have a list and I'm checking it every day. And so I guess that's the reason why I necessarily don't have a regret.
But in that example where you said that you were collaborating with someone else, and I assume you didn't get the outcome you want, do you reflect and say, you know what, if I had tried this angle, I might have been more successful?
Yeah. Let's just say I had a project and it took longer than I wanted it to take. Mm-hmm. I still had other things beyond my control that influenced how long it took. And so I guess I could have, I guess I could speculate, but I guess that would be a yes and a no. But but I couldn't have gotten up any earlier. I mean, the things that I did have control over, I moved them forward. And I tried to communicate, and I tried to keep my composure when things were falling apart, and I'm happy with all of that.
So on balance, would you say that last year was a good year or a medium year, bad year? How would you characterize it from how you feel?
Huh? It was a great year. It was a great year because I could walk, one. As you guys know, 2023, I had 2 knee replacement surgeries. And so, Ron, when I came to your house, your daughter asked me, what brings you joy? And I couldn't think about it at that moment, but being able to walk, being physically fit brings me joy, because if you don't have that, then if you don't have mental health, if you don't have physical health, then it's hard living here.
Mhm.
And so I'm sorry, Nick, what was your question?
No, I mean you answered my question about whether it was a good year or not.
Yeah, it was a great year. I mean, because I'm growing. I'm surrounding myself with people who, okay, so I have a regret now that I think about it. I'm looking for, a coffee, as Michelle Obama would say, a coffee table group of women that I can relate to,
Mm.
that I can sit down and have conversations with. I don't have that. And I don't know if I regret not having that, but that's something that I'm looking for and striving for. So hopefully in 2023 I will have that.
Sweet.
What, 25, but hang on. What's the purpose of the coffee
2026,
table?
excuse me,
Oh, 26.
2026.
You're right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, 2026 I'll have
What's the purpose of the coffee table group? I'm not familiar with the term.
that. Just people that you relate to. I mean, I think that I've gotten to the point where I've outgrown. I don't have the female energy that I need, because you need people to help you. You need people that you can confide in, to talk to, who you kind of are similar but different. And so I don't have that. And that's what I want. That's what I need. Like
Okay,
you
now
guys.
I got to ask, do they all have to be entrepreneurs and business owners like you? That's called a
See,
callback.
but it's so cynical. I mean, no, they don't. They just have to be, you just have to have a group of people that
Yeah.
that
I think you
uplift you, that
Yeah.
that you
It's
can,
like the fellas chat, Ron.
yeah.
That.
Well,
the
yeah,
people that you're aligned with. There's an
Yeah,
alignment.
exactly. That's it. The people that I'm aligned with.
yeah, but see, Darren, I would disagree slightly with your comment. I don't think I'm aligned with everyone in the fellows chat.
Yeah, exactly. You guys have just
Not
known each other for a
aligned
long
with
time.
in terms of maybe politics or economics, but just the way in which we live and conduct ourselves. I think, everybody goes to work. Anybody in the group that you needed would come if you said, I need you. Like there's not a person who would not come to your aid. That's what I mean by alignment, on a much higher, more of a spiritual connection, not necessarily in politics or sports or economics, but just in terms of friendship.
Okay, so let me ask you, Ella, because in this Black Leadership Council at work, there was this guy that he's on the board of UPS, and he said, find yourself a personal board of directors that will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Is that what you're looking for, or are you looking more for like a friend group that won't push back on you?
I think all of the above. I mean, when you were little, you had people, people that you went to school with. And I mean, in every stage of our life, we have people around. I'm at a stage where I'm isolated because there's no Black people where I live. I'm not in any organizations where I see people, and so I have to be more proactive with that. But on the flip side of that, I just really don't have the time to do that. And I want people. I want authentic people, not people who are all about what they have or what they don't have. I just really want authentic kind of girl time conversation kind of relationships.
Right.
Yep.
I get, I can empathize with that from listening to my wife talk about the importance of having positive female energy where there's not like petty jealousies, where you aspire to the same kinds of things. You may not be in the same place in
Exactly.
life, but your aspirations are aligned, right? You want to do better, whatever that means.
That means.
And it's supportive. It's safe. It's supportive.
Exactly.
I think that as a man, those are things that I value as well. I love nothing more than to be, actively engaged with a group of men, in a more constructive way where, in many ways we do offer, the friend group on our text thread, we offer information and ideas, whether it be financial or personal or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, those things are really valuable. And I think for women even more so.
Mhm.
And let me just say, so I had a party, and a friend of mine who lives in the square that I was a good friend with when I lived there, she came. And we were talking, and I was telling her about my plans, for my house and my business. And she was like, Frank, she was like, well, don't you think maybe you might want to save that money and invest it? If you want your business to expand and elevate, then you need to focus on that. And it wasn't in a bet, it was just in a constructive, like, this is what you need to do to get to the next level.
Right.
And I just love that. You know what I mean? And so even the conversations that we have, it's not about judgment. It's about, if you want to get from A to B, this is what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Darren, I'm sorry, Ron, do you have something else for?
No, I was going to say, in the fellas chat that we have, our boy in Oakland was talking about the new Roth IRA rules for 2026. And our buddy in Denver was talking about that because we had been on a side chat talking about conversions, and he started talking about annuities. I think Darren was the one that brought up the question about annuities. And I was like, heck no, that stuff is garbage. But I did a little research and talked to our financial planner, and he was like, and our financial planner literally said, Ron, the bicycles, they don't have that large wheel in front and the small one in back anymore. And that also describes the annuities. They're not like they were when, in the whatever. And it's now going to be part of our retirement strategy because of the advisor telling us, giving us an education. But Darren, you and James were the ones, you guys were the ones where it's like, you need to think about this, or at least let's think about it together. Yes. So that is the type of energy that I really love. And, Nick, with you and, our boy talking about solo 401ks, and then the fact that you've been doing it for so long, it's like, yes, this is good conversation to have. And it's wonderful to be a part of it.
Yeah. I think at this stage of life, it's more important than ever to be, to Ella's point, surrounded by people who are not only like-minded, but who will do for you like Ella's friend did for her and said, hey, if you want to go from A to B, you may want to pour your resources differently. And, when you were mentioning about the annuities and the solo 401k and all that is, that's great. So, Darren, we haven't heard much from you yet. So your assessment of 2025 and both of it. Maybe.
All right. I remember when Ron was on Facebook, I would look forward to his Project 365 postings.
Oh, that's right.
That was like, I would log on to see the picture for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then when he stopped Facebook, I was like, oh, okay. Well, there's that.
Yeah.
In terms of regrets, I would say I spent way more money than I should have. Just because you have, a little bit of extra disposable doesn't mean you should spend it. Like when I meet my budget and I got a little excess, sometimes I spend when I don't need to spend. And it's hard because, with my grandbabies, I just love buying them toys. My wife just bought a set of toys yesterday that was just extraordinarily expensive. So, that's probably my biggest regret is just the financial. We had a good year, and rather than living within what I should have lived within, I went a little bit beyond. And there's a bunch of reasons I could probably give for that, but this year I'm tightening it down a little bit more, and I started already paying down debt and increasing investment in savings. So it's a little bit more challenging, and also telling my wife no, because when she says, hey, let's go here, it's always yes, because I like being her hero, and so sometimes we're like, yeah, let's not. and seeing the look on her face, knowing that we could, but we're not. So there's that.
Are you saying that the Bank of Darren has actual hours that you're not open?
The Bank of Darren has been closed.
Yeah.
Oh, but is it to the family or to just
No,
your
no.
wife?
This is to the wife.
Even
She had,
all the
she had unlimited
freeloaders.
hours. She was 24 hours.
it's 24 hours. But as in my conversation with her is, we're racing toward retirement now, and so my income will not be the same. I mean, we'll be fine, especially with the plan of paying down debt, increasing our investments. We'll be fine, but we'll be on a fixed income. If I want to make more money, I got to go earn more money, and so you have to think about that in terms of that, and inflation being what it is, even with the returns in the on the investments, inflation can eat that up. So it's just the Bank of Darren closed, so I spent way more money. I shared some of the text messages that I got from family members, and there are a couple of them that I just always gave, but I realized that this isn't helping them and it's not helping me. So the Bank of Darren closed. With the exception of my mom. My mom always gets whatever she needs, so she will always get what she needs, but she doesn't ask very much.
Can I ask a question, Darren? A quick
That's
question,
progress.
clarification.
Yeah.
Was your regret?
No, that's
That's fantastic. But I'm unclear. Was your overspending because you had to give to other people, or because you spent money that you discretionarily could have chosen not to spend?
Yeah, it was just I had some extra change and I spent it, and I didn't need to. It was for wants, not needs. It was just stuff I just wanted to do, and it wasn't even an advisor once told me, "Do not spend money on McDonald's. Save your money for Ruth Chris." And his philosophy was, "Don't McDonald's away your money." So last year was a McDonald's away money. I spent stuff. I mean, it was just stuff like, and even some of the toys for my grandkids. Like within a month, we gave them away because they don't play with them anymore. It's just not good choices. But it wasn't spending money that it wasn't spending what we didn't have. It didn't impact our financial plan, but it could have made our financial plan better.
Mm-hmm.
I could have done more.
So I'm going to challenge you about this, because just as people are looking in, because we all have those areas of our life where we could choose not to spend or spend more, whatever. The nexus between the joy it gave you at the time, because you are a person who has delayed gratification. I think most of us on this podcast have lived in a way of some level of delayed gratification over time. So let's say you take a year like last year and you spent more money than you necessarily would have otherwise. Was it really that? Is it that it didn't derail anything? It didn't make anything, whatever. So how big a regret is that really? Because it obviously gave you some joy, right?
Well, there was some joy, but when I tally at the end of the year what I spent on, I'm like, yeah, I need to do better. Because there was some joy, but going to a kiddie park that costs like $50 when my grandkids love going to the free park. There was just stuff that I could have gotten the same joy. I mean, I don't regret the joy and everything. I just could have spent better. I had it to spend, and I did, and I didn't need to. So even if I cut that, it's not wasteful spending, but it's discretionary spending that goes beyond. So like each month I have a budget of, this is what I get to spend and play with. A couple of months I had a little bit extra, and I was like, oh, well, I'm on budget, so why not just spend that too? It just didn't need to do it.
Let me ask you, if you had taken that $50, and I know it's a series of $20 here, $50 there on the kid. If you, instead of buying the toy that was thrown away in a month, if you had taken that $50 and opened up a couple of unified minor accounts where you and your wife were still custodians, but they were in the kids' names, and you put the $50 in there so it could grow.
But we have 529 for both, so we already do that. We
Okay.
we have funding, like, so we do that already. So there's just like all of the things that all of my business and all my investment plan, everything was on target. So there was nothing that was missed. And I accelerated payment of debt. So I was doing everything I was supposed to do. It's just I just ended up with more money than, I'm very, very conservative in budgeting every month. But sometimes I'm like, wow, there's more month than there's more money than month left. So
Okay, so you established that you have 529. So if you had taken the $50 and put it in the 529 and not bought the toy, would you have felt better?
Not really. But if I there's just having extra money and not having a plan for extra money. That's the problem that I had. I like, what happens if I don't spend my allowance for this month? I give myself an allowance. If I don't spend all of my allowance for this month, that money should get folded into savings, as opposed to like, well, now I got that much more for next month, so that kind of thing. So it wasn't, there was nothing that was, I was able to, any major expense, everything got taken care of. I just noticed that, like, when I had extra funding, I just it wasn't a wise choice. And the only other year that sort of happened was during the stay at home, where I had to spend more to essentially be able to do the work that I need to do while being remote. That way, but after that, I was like, that left a bad taste in my mouth. So I've been very, very disciplined. I was disciplined before the pandemic and very disciplined after. But this last year, despite all that was going on, things actually worked out a little bit better than I had planned. And I didn't think about that. But now I'm mindful of it, saying that, I need to, if I have that extra $50 could have gone down to pay more debt. I could have put that $50 toward my mortgage. There's things I could have done that I didn't do that I will think about more this year.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I took that is that it was hard to do something that you thought was fun, because you said that you had a budget, you stuck to your budget. And I guess I got that when you said, like, I know that I have a budget, and if I don't spend it, I'll roll it over to the next month, so that if there's something that comes that I might want to do, then I have that, that month's money and the money from last month.
Yeah.
But it's all about paying the bills and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the fun stuff, or having some kind of fun in your life, you don't feel like.
No, but that was on top of the fun stuff. For instance, our joint birthday party, best investment for the year, best investment. I had no problem in investing in that, because that brought me so much joy. So, but I budgeted for it, like, I budgeted a lot more when we got the first email, because I was like, what? so there was a bit of a peace dividend from what I had originally budgeted, and I could have, done something with that peace dividend. But
I'm glad you enjoyed it, because it was great.
It was something, but we got the original email, and I was like, all right, so, okay, let's budget for that.
Do each of you guys follow a strict monthly budget?
Yes.
You
Yes.
do?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I've had a spreadsheet for last 28 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ron, how do you deal with budgeting at all?
Well, you said a strict budget.
Yeah.
No, I've been using Quicken since before we got married.
Mm-hmm.
And just as an aside, I just in the past month switched to Monarch Money. But I've been managing our money and looking at our expenses and our income. I look at that, as I've mentioned, I say hi to our money every morning. What I do is a variation of what Darren is saying, which is we have certain investments that come out of our paycheck, and if we're hitting those goals, then whatever is left, it's like, okay, we're fine here. Let's, enjoy ourselves. But I have a budget of what money needs to go to certain things. And as long as the money's going to those things, my expenses aren't cutting into the investments we want to make. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah. I'm probably, so Darren and Ella are like probably spreadsheet budgeters or whatever. Ron, you're somewhere maybe a little bit less than that. And I guess I'm probably even on a lower budgetary restriction than even Ron in terms of like having a strict, a strict set of guidelines or whatever. I know what the monthly obligations are, and I know what needs to go where in general, but I'm not checking that. Like I know when my bank account is growing, and I know when it's shrinking, and I know when certain things come up that are out of the norm, and those things may have to get paid or whatever. But other than like looking at my statements and say, oh, I still have that subscription, or oh, that was more this month than last month. I don't get very deep in the weeds, unless I see leakage happening, obviously, then I don't. But just for people who are out there watching, there are obviously many ways to go about that. Although this isn't about budget, but it came up. So,
for us, the rule of thumb is any expenditure over, let's say, $250. We just need to give each other a heads up. Now, there's the extreme, which is we need to replace one of our AC units, which is going to be a deep expense. That's like, okay, now we need to cash flow that. What month are we going to do that? So we want to make sure that we don't, go buck wild going to great restaurants at the same time we're paying for an AC unit. So there is budgeting, but it's not like Darren, where he's like, I guess I got this amount of dollars in January to spend, and once I go over that number, I stop. We're not that religious about it.
Right. So Darren, we cut into your gratitude portion. So from 20,
I already sort of hinted at it with in talking about the joint party, but I would say this last year I got to spend more time with my friends than I have in a long time. Starting with our friends party back in January at the golf course. The last year, the one that is 60th.
Yeah.
His birthday is today.
Right.
Oh, I wasn't there. I wasn't in town. Okay. All right.
Oh, that was a golf course?
Yeah, the golf course. Yeah.
Okay.
So starting with that started the year off of just, and then, doing the pod and then the party at Ella's, and, it was the first time in a long time that I've had that much social interaction. When we went out to the marina a couple weeks back, so just those types of things. I would say that was the joy of one of the great things of this year, was just being in contact and more community with the folks that I care about. Because the way I grew up is your friends are your friends whether you see them or not. So if you don't see them for like 5 years, you just pick up where you left off. But that's not necessarily the way the world works, or the way people interact. So just being in community was good. And then the other one was keeping my A1C below pre-diabetes. That was something back in 24. My doctor was like, dude, your A1C is right there on the cusp between pre-diabetic and diabetic. You need to do something about that. And I was like, all right. And I brought it down rather quickly, but I kept it down. And that was the thing. And so, I'm just very pleased about the health. Don't have the same physical abilities that I did. I think, one of our buddies was talking about the gym. I don't go to the gym because I know, right? Because whenever I go to the gym, almost like clockwork, the 7th week I get injured. Because it's just, as I build up my strength and my tolerance, there comes a point where my strength is more than my physical structure. Like I can squat a certain amount, but my body can't. Like my bone structure, it's like I've got the muscle thing to do it, but the limitations of my skeletal structure get exceeded rather quickly, and then I get injured. And so after doing that for a couple of years, it's like, oh, work out for 6 weeks, injured for 7. Now I got to do nothing for 4 weeks. So I've had to come up with alternative ways of doing things, and chasing my grandkids around is definitely something. We went to a play place yesterday, and I was just running after my granddaughter up and down. And my grandson doesn't walk; he has cerebral palsy. Carrying him up and down the slide, he's like 56 pounds, so I have to actually carry him up all the way up to the top and then slide down with him, and then having him walk. So I get my physical exercise that way, and then I do my stretches and things in the morning.
Yeah. Sounds like that's a great report, because, I myself have been, cautioned by my doctor about the concern about pre-diabetes and that kind of thing. And
I think any Black person has had that.
Yeah.
Everybody.
yeah. And I, for the life, well, I'm not going to say for the life of me, I don't know why. I'm sure I could eat less, carbohydrates. That would certainly help. But I certainly get, unlike Darren, I am committed to, going to the gym regularly. So, so it's all what works for you, right? So, hats off for you getting your blood work together. And I agree. Just to throw my hat in the ring, I agree that, last year spending more time with friends and not taking friendship for granted has been a great part of the year, as well as doing this pod. This was something that came out of, as we said, our group chat and so forth, and adding Ella to the mix, of what we were doing and stuff, is a great way to not only connect, but, iron sharpening iron. So I think that was great, great part of the year. If I have a regret, excuse me, it is maybe a little bit frivolous or whatever, but I don't tend to have a lot of regrets in general. I don't look at things like that. I tend to look at it more like lessons or whatever. But a lesson that I definitely learned is something that Ella was actually involved in too, because I went much longer than I should have before intervening with a family member who was living in one of my rental units. Excuse me. And by the time I intervened in what was happening from a sanitation standpoint in that place, it was just almost devastating. And so that was an area that I had kind of squirreled away in a deep corner of my mind and said, I'll just, I'm just not going to deal with that yet. But when I was forced to deal with it, it became both financially, and it could have been financially catastrophic. As it was very, very financially uncomfortable, let's say, because of the amount of money that had to be put into setting things back right again. But it was a lesson that, you just, the longer you let things fester that you need to intervene with, it's only going to make the problem worse. And that could have to do with anything in life. And in that way, it was a lesson that, it's much better to bite the bullet than to let it fester. So that was something that was certainly a lesson learned from 2025. So that's my offering to the mix. Ron, you never really gave
But you didn't say what your good thing was.
I said the pod and the friendship, all that,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely going last, and thank you guys for all of the input. So when I look at, I'll start with the glass half empty. When I look at the regrets I have, they're all basically family related. I really regret not being someone that could have been more gracious. I continue to work on being gracious with our home life situation and understanding. And Ella asked me at least 2 or 3 times, "You got a big house. Why are you tripping? You got a big house." And I had no retort to that logic other than some emotional feeling of shut up. I don't have a response, but shut up.
Right.
And I think that's where my EQ plummets, because I didn't see the story going the way it's going. And I've said this, and Nick, you were a part of this. August 10th, I'm sorry, I'm not going to say the year. We're walking down the altar. And if someone, while you and I were walking, had said, whoa, wait, I got this crystal ball. And I want to show you what the next 30 some years of your life are going to be like. Are you sure you want to do this? I'd be like, ooh, I didn't see all the highs and lows. I thought it was all going to be just, sunshine and rainbows. And I think that my big regret is not coming to grips with there are ages and stages of life, and you don't plan for people to come into your home. But as Ella has pointed out, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Dealing with that, coming to grips, being able to not raise my blood pressure and to not be upset is something that I have been working on. I continue to work on, because it's not how I thought the story was going to go. And I haven't accepted it, and I'm accepting it now. And it's been really hard. So when I look at last year, that's the biggest regret. And I wish I had journaled about, how I was feeling. And I'm going to be going forward. I will be journaling about how I'm feeling, so that way I can see either growth or I'm still in the same quagmire I was. The other regret that I have is I wish we had traveled more at the front half of the year, because towards the back half, we weren't able to. My wife came out for the 60th birthday party. I wasn't able to attend. I brought the girls out to LA last weekend. My wife wasn't able to attend. So coming to grips with, when you have the chance and you have the health and you have the money, you should have done it. And now there's no guarantee when we will be able to, and what circumstances have to change. I'm sorry, I know what circumstances have to change. I remember that conversation too, Ella. But that's the regret, that we acted like time is infinite. And then there's some external event that happens and you're like, oh crap, now we got to cancel the trip. When's the next time? What year are we going to go someplace as a family? So not taking advantage of opportunities to travel when we had the chance hurts. So
yeah, it harkens back to that other podcast, and you talk about the things that you're doing and the things that you want to do, and why aren't you doing them now if you knew you only had 6 months to live? So that harkens back to that of 100%. Living in the moment and doing the things that you want to do, so you don't have regrets later.
Yeah.
And that speaks to your point about spending the money that you want to spend because you got it, right? There's no you know what I mean? Like it's literally the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And maybe there are degrees, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think everybody in this group is living a life that a high percentage of other people would be like, I'd be okay with that life.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that. Like, I can't travel with my family this year. Okay, well, but I don't have to worry about my bills being paid, and I got, everybody's healthy and whatever. Like, I mean, we're living first world problems here. Really, 1% problems.
So what are you happy about, Ron?
All right. So the first thing I'm happy about is very, very specific. I went to Atlanta usually what I do is I arrive in Atlanta on a Sunday morning, see our daughter who goes to college down there, and then spend Monday through Thursday working in our Atlanta office. And there was one trip where I picked her up, and there was this art festival at a park. You know, it could have been like Elysian Park or someplace. It was just an open air park where there was all these vendors and stuff. And we spent, and it was starting to rain, and we hid under a tree, and it was raining really hard. And I looked at her and I'm like, I don't think we're going to be able to go to this art festival because it's raining so hard. And she said, let's just wait like another 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay. And the rain let up. And we went to the art festival, just the two of us, and spent an amazing time talking and just laughing and eating bad food that my wife would have been upset that I gave her. And the reason that was like the highlight of the year is because I always feel like she was the tag along. The older daughter would be playing soccer, and she would be dragged in the back seat of the car to go play on the sideline while her big sister was playing soccer or whatever. And since she's been in college, we have connected in a way that I couldn't have dreamed of, because she was a mess. I was probably not the best dad in terms of like, you on my nerves. Okay, she on my nerves, honey. When is she going off to college and not coming back?
That's real.
Yes. And she went to college her freshman year and transformed. And I feel like we're making up for lost time. And that time that we spent together, I am really fighting back my emotions right now because it was just so special. And it's so, and I think what happened, okay, so let me tell you, there's a story. My father, we didn't have the best relationship. And right before he passed, he calls the house and he tells my mom, hey, I forgot my boots. Can you get the boy to bring them out to some truck stop someplace in LA? Maybe someplace over by Alameda or whatever. And I'm like, damn, are you serious? Do I really need to get in my car and drive all the way to like the downtown LA to the industrial district, So I got in the car, drove down there, brought him the boots, and I'm all in a shitty mood, in a pissy mood. And then he says, hey, do you want to go have breakfast? And it was like, oh my God, yes, I do. And he passed, couldn't have been more than 2-3 weeks later from a heart attack. And I will never forget that feeling of, wow, he really spent time with me. And that's how I feel about that time I spent with my younger daughter, that, if anything happens to me, we have those type of memories. So that's the best thing that happened last year. The second best thing that happened, just sort of piggybacking on what Darren was talking about, is I've been in a run club now for about a year and a half. Last year, I ran about 1,500 miles. Did not get injured, I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
Keeping the weight off, keeping the blood pressure okay. I still need to push the potato chips away. But being healthy has been. Yo, I went over to our professor's house last weekend. Homeboy had some potato chips, salt and pepper from Trader Joe's. And I'm like, dude, what are these?
What are these crack chips you're giving me?
Yes. And I just sent him a picture from Trader Joe's a couple days ago.
I'm there.
I'm there. But the health is super important. I'm happy for that, and I want to again, continue to just talk about my journey over the next 5 years, because it's a 5-year journal. The other thing that I would say, just in ending, is there is a reason why I'm wearing this Yamamoto jersey. And that's because I was talking to our boy in Dallas. And it's like, you know what? We can't just come out to LA a couple times, sometime between September and October or November. We need to commit to coming out quarterly. So I got the jersey because the Dodgers season starts in April. And it's like, okay, April, July, and then football in, Q3. But getting back into seeing all of you on a recurring basis and not just waiting for a football game in the fall, spending time together it's something that makes me happy. When I've done it, it makes me happy. I want to do more of it. And that's sort of the significance of the jersey today. So that's what I got.
I just want to say one more thing. Another thing that brought me so much joy was spending time at your house, Ron.
Come on back.
Because I didn't think about work. I just enjoyed my friendships. And it was wonderful. It was what I needed. It was healing. It was, and that's, one of the reasons why the coffee table thing came up, because I needed that connection. The women, we were just talking and just, going back and forth as far as what worked, what didn't work. And I so love that. So, and I love kicking your ass and whatever we were playing. But,
Yeah.
well, baby.
Competitive.
Hey.
I'm glad I'm not like that
anymore.
What good is it to gather a group of friends around and not have something on which bragging rights are at stake?
But when Ella picks on a little sheep, it's like, come on, Ella, come on, don't take a run at her.
There is no sheep in our group. There is no sheep.
Right. Well, that's a great place to jump off on that high note of everyone, and Ron, your heartfelt recollections of what touched you this year. I think it's a great place to leave it. And so I'm sure you've got a equally uplifting parting shot for us this week. So do tell.
I don't know if it's uplifting, but there's a video I came across of a guy, I think he's a Philadelphia Eagles defensive lineman. And it looks like, it was the Jets. And it looks like the Jets won the game. And, when there are people in the stands, they're talking trash to the players. And he responds in a way that is hysterical. So if you've got the clip, hopefully you guys will enjoy it.
You get the point.
He's like, no, not you. You. So it makes me laugh every time I see it. It's just so wonderful. As funny as can be.
Right. Hey, and that's that's the fun of the sport, right? Those little moments, and we're at that time of the season where there's so much at stake. To be able to have something to laugh about, even in loss, is certainly worthwhile. So that's good stuff. I appreciate your topic today, Ron. I hope those of you who have listened in or are still with us have taken something away in terms of what to look back on, whether it's a regret or a lesson learned that you hope to bring into the new year, and do better with, and to also take stock of some of the great things that have happened. We certainly wish and hope that this year is going to be a great one for each and every one of you. We're grateful for those of you who regularly tune in and engage. We hope you'll like and share this with other friends that you know, and leave any comments as to your thoughts on the topic. So again, guys, my faithful friends, I'm always inspired and enjoy getting together, and I look forward to us doing it again real soon, huh? So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for this week, and we will see you guys next time. Remember, make it a great year, and we'll see you soon.
Peace.